guys, it's Jane here, or Card Days Night. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a rainbow Christmas tree card. Not actually the one that you can see on the screen now. This is a card that I have just made with this pretty pink posh tree cover plate die, which I love. It's gorgeous. It's one of my favourite things that I've bought recently. But as you can see, I've made a shaker with it, and it's left over all of the little tree cutouts. So my plan today is to heat emboss each of the trees in a different rainbow colour and make a card out of those. So I have pulled some rainbow colours from my stash. Everything will be listed down below and also in the accompanying blog over on the Wow Embossing website. But to quickly run through them for you, the red is Say You'll Remember Me from the Reputation Trio by Natasha Davis, which is a great trio. The orange is Candles, yellow is Sunflower, the green sparkly is Greenfields Glimmer, which again is from a trio, the Christmas Tinsel Trio, great one for this time of year. The pale blue is Sea Flower, then we've got Vintage Turquoise. The lighter purple is Grape Fizz from the Twinkly Fizz trio, and the darker purple is Hibiscus, and then the pink is Dappled Pink from the Dappled Effects trio. So there's a few ways that you could do this. What I'm planning on doing is just pressing the Christmas trees into my Wow embossing pad, which could be a little bit messy and sticky, but I think it'll be the quickest way to do it, so that's what I'm going to go with today. But if you don't fancy that, you could get a blending tool, like a foam applicator, dip that into your Wow embossing pad and then rub it onto the trees. Or you can use this really nifty little tool that Wow have got, which is basically a paintbrush, and you can paint the embossing ink directly onto your project. So that's another way to go about it. But yeah, like I say, I am going to go straight for the messy option and dip my trees straight into the pad. So I just need to apologise for the lighting on this video. It's quite difficult to get the right lighting conditions in England, and even when the sun's out like it is today, unfortunately all of our windows live in quite an old-fashioned house, and they've got those kind of wooden latticing or whatever it's called on them, so it creates some bizarre shadows, and the sun was in and out the clouds today, so there may be some variable lighting conditions on this video today, but we've got the weather we've got and we've got the time we've got, so I've just decided to roll with it. So all I'm doing here is using a piece of scrap paper, popping my embossed Christmas tree down onto the paper, and then pouring my embossing powder or embossing glitter over the top. If there's any areas that don't get good coverage, feel free to pop some more on. Just don't use like a plastic spoon to spoon any of the powder on, because Wow's powders are treated with an anti-static ingredient, and if you use it like a plastic tub or a plastic spoon with them, it gets rid of that anti-static goodness, which means that obviously your heat embossing won't be as precise if you're stamping with it. So I've just grabbed my little heat protective mat and popped my Christmas tree down on that, and I am going to heat it with my heat tool, which I've got nice and hot, ready to use. And I wasn't fond of the coverage around the edges on this Christmas tree, so I've decided to give it another coat, which is absolutely fine. All you need to do is press the tree back into the embossing ink again, sprinkle it with some more powder, and then reheat set it. And I was actually quite pleased with the Christmas trees, how they kept the little details on them even after they'd been heat embossed. I'd kind of assumed that that might get lost when it was covered up by the powder, but it's actually stayed on there quite well. So the detail on the finished card is actually really lovely. So now that I've finished embossing that tree, I'm just going to pop my embossing powder back into the container and pour it straight back in. And then all of that can be used on your next project. So don't worry, all of that embossing powder that you see being poured over the top does not go to waste. And one of these little pots of embossing powder and embossing glitter lasts me like ages, months, years. I've had some of mine going for ages. So I've just repeated the exact same process with the other 8 colours. So you can see here me embossing each one, just so you can see what the colours look like once they're heat set, which wasn't without its pitfalls, as you can see, because the trees really didn't want to stay in place. So I had trees flying all over my desk, but we got there in the end. So I'll just speed this up a little bit now and you can have some nice festive music to listen to. Okay, so now that I've got my trees embossed, I've got my cover plate back out again and I'm using it to line the trees up so that I know that they're going to be nice and equally spaced on my card base. And I'd also like them to be popped up off the card as well. So what I'm going to do is just add some small foam squares to the backs of each of the trees to give it that lovely bit of dimension. And now I'm going to grab my card base, line that up over the top of the trees, make sure it's centered properly against the plate, and press that down so that each of the little trees should hopefully stick to my card base. So I'm giving it a good press and then fingers crossed, and let's see. Yes, it worked. It looks pretty good. I'm really pleased with that. So to finish my card off, I just need a sentiment, and I wanted something quite simple and small, so not to detract from the detail and the colours of the trees. So I've grabbed one of these sentiment sheets from Simon Says Stamp. So they are pre-printed sentiments, and all you need to do is trim them out, which is really handy. So I've got my mini trimmer, I'm just lining that up, and I'm going to trim out the sentiment that says Happy Holidays because it's nice and small and compact, and I can just pop it into the centre of my card. So the little bonus there is that I've got a second sentiment already cut as well, and I can pop back in the packet and use for a future project. So to attach my sentiment to the card, I'm using a bit of liquid glue in the centre, and I'm just going to stick that directly to the middle Christmas tree. But because the edges of the sentiment are hanging over the tree, I'll need to pop a little half a foam square on the edges that are hanging over to make sure that they're actually the same height as the Christmas trees, and that'll just help it not flop about or get squashed in the post. So to finish my card, I'm just going to add some iridescent sequins. Now I don't know about you, but sequin placement on my card is probably one of the things that takes the longest in the card making process. So I kid you not, I probably spent about 5 minutes messing around with the sequins until I was happy with the placement. So I got there in the end, and I've just used some liquid glue to pop those down. So that finishes up today's card. I hope you like it. I'm really pleased with how colourful it is, and I hope you found the video helpful. So if you'd like to see more from me, please do hit subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment or like this video. It's all really helpful, and hopefully I'll see you soon.